You are now listening to the Pelicans post-game report, Flash Report.
I guess there's part of you that wants to be a competitor, but the rational part of you that also thinks, ultra cautious might be a good thing here.
Yeah, I mean, I was initially probably mad and angry. I was looking forward to playing a basketball game. So much of basketball is about being in a rhythm, and you can practice and scrimmage, but nothing really replicates an NBA game. And I said this in the pod, but I'm grateful that I play in a league that values the safety of its players. So I understood that part to a degree. I think the other rational side of me is like, well, I've had 16 straight negative tests. Why do I have to stay back? So I'm up to 20 now, up to 20 or 21.
Hey, JJ, this is Jim from Pelicans.com. Wanted to ask you about the move that you had last night where you kind of did like an in and out crossover, excuse me, and ended up with a layup. Eric Bledsoe probably jumped higher off the bench in his reaction to that play than he did in anything that he did throughout the game. What was your teammates' reaction to that move? And it just seemed like they were really excited to see that.
Yeah, I've done that move a few times in games before. I don't think I did it last year, but I did it a few times in Philly. When the big is sort of expecting that pocket pass, and Jackson was sort of in the perfect place. And so if you kind of like spin it back to yourself, a lot of times that pocket pass is off that one hand. So if you spin it back to yourself, the big will kind of shift. I don't think my teammates are. I saw the reaction on the bench, and nobody really said anything to me.
Hi, JJ. This is Ali Kusil with the Bird Rights. Based on how many preseasons you've gone through, how prepared do you feel yourself and the team for the upcoming regular season? Based on a short training camp and all that.
Yeah, no, I've said this a few times. I don't know if I've said it to you guys, but I feel like this is one long season from September 30th, 2019, or whenever media day was last year, with a couple extended breaks in between. I really haven't taken any time off. So in terms of my own preparation, I feel very prepared. In terms of our team, I feel like we're as prepared as we can be. I think Stan, as expected, has done an amazing job in getting us ready. And, we've covered most every scenario we're going to have during the season. And obviously we'll continue to drill and go over stuff and use days like today's after games to really, hone in on some details and continue, sort of the minute X's and O's, end of game situations, what to do if we get pressed when we're up at the end of the game, how are we handling throw blockouts, so there's the big picture stuff, how we want to play, our defensive concepts, and then there's all those scenarios that you go through the course of the season that we'll continue to master.
Hey, Christian Clark here again. Stan, I think thought there was some improvement on the defensive end that could have been had last night. Just what were the things you guys worked on cleaning up on defense today?
We talked about it a little bit. Tomorrow's going to be a film session where we go over yesterday's game. We have to be better with protecting the paint and fouling for sure. Even with like Middleton, he made some tough jumpers, but we can't allow the amount of paint points we did. But most of today was just going over scenarios, working on some situations. All right, thanks, guys. So you got one more?
Yeah, sorry, just last one. Scott Christopher, NOLA.com. Lonzo basically mentioned his ability to have a full offseason really is kind of showed up for him last night that he's, feels like he's a lot more comfortable than he was in the bubble even. What kind of progression have you seen from him? And do you notice anything concrete about his improvement just because he had like a real offseason this time?
Yeah, I know, last offseason he was coming off an injury, and then, none of us, really could fully prepare for what the bubble was going to entail. And, for those guys that didn't have necessarily access to a gym and a trainer during quarantine in the spring, it was tough to gear yourself up and get your game right. In terms of what I've seen, I think a continued progression from where he was in January and February and early March of last year, where he's playing downhill in pick and rolls, he's pushing the pace, he's confident with his shot. I literally tell this guy every fucking day to shoot the ball. I hate when he passes up shots. He's a great shooter. He's turned himself into a great shooter, and we want him to be aggressive.
Even us as coaches, players, sort of when Milwaukee was scoring, what you're focused on is, Chris Middleton's having a great night. Well, he did. But you're going to see somebody have a great night almost every night in the NBA. And that isn't necessarily what beats you. What beats you is sending a team to the free throw line 30 times. What beats you is the cuts we gave up for layups, 44 points in the paint. What beats you is the offensive rebounds we gave up. And so what happens is Chris Middleton is shooting the ball really well, and so we're going to try to deny him coming to the ball for a handoff. We give up a backdoor layup. We send him to the line 8 times. Cut that to 4 times. It's all the little things, and it's staying disciplined to your system, and you don't panic because somebody's making a couple of shots, because people are going to make shots in every NBA game. Nobody's holding anybody to 60 points in an NBA game. People score. So you have to stay disciplined to what we're trying to do, and I thought we could have done a better job of that last night, particularly in the second and third quarters.
And I know because of the unique nature of this season, getting in proper condition has been a huge focus. Just where do you feel like you guys are at in that department?
Yeah, it's not what I would like to start a season. And that's, again, I want to be really clear with people. I'm not blaming players at all for that. There's a rhythm to an NBA season and to getting ready for an NBA season, and, you're coming back about a month before camp, and, you've been playing all summer, and you come back about a month before camp and you're playing and you're working and you're getting yourself ready. And then you've got a camp that's about a week longer than what we've had. So it's all different now. And guys are working at it. I'm not upset with anybody, but being honest, I'm not comfortable with where we are conditioning wise right now. But it's nothing, you can't rush that. You can just work at it every day. You can't go from 50-50 to 100% in a matter of a day. It's a cumulative effect, and as we get into playing all the time, I think it'll pick up quickly.
Hey, Coach, it's Andrew from ESPN. Because of that, I guess not feeling comfortable with the condition of some guys or of everybody in the sense of kind of what you were just saying, do you think teams, and maybe you in particular, will play deeper lineups early in the season, maybe going 11, 12 men just because you're trying to get wind for guys a little bit earlier?
I'm not really sure in my own case, Andrew. We're going to see how it goes. And, there's a couple of things that factor into your decision, I think. It's, is a fatigued guy, obviously not exhausted, but a fatigued guy, better at some positions than the guy coming in for him would be when he's fresh. the fresher guy is not necessarily the better guy. Sometimes the tired guy is still the better player. So that's part of it. And the second thing is, if you don't push the conditioning out a little bit in games, I don't know when you're going to catch up. So if you're going to limit guys to, say, your starters to 24 minutes or 27 minutes, how do they get to 33 or 36 minutes? Because even at 27 minutes a game, you're not coming in going hard the next day in practice. So they're going to get in shape for the game. So how do you take from wherever they are now and raise them up? In the exhibitions games, it's easy. You simply play guys a lot of minutes. You know, we've tried to push it on Brandon, but the fouls took care of it. But with Zion, we've really pushed it out, and we've left him out there at times when we knew damn well he was tired, you know. But how are we going to get him to where he can handle that 33, 34-minute workload on a nightly basis if we don't do it?
Hey, this is Jim from Pelicans.com. I remember recently during the brief offseason, Griff talked a lot about bringing in ferocious competitors. There were a couple plays last night. There was one play where Adams and Bledsoe were both on the floor going for a loose ball, and it just seems like they've brought a lot of scrappiness already to the team. Is that something that you've seen so far, is just the aggressiveness and the scrappiness that they've brought?
Well, there's no question, Jim, and I don't worry about those two guys. They're going to compete every single night. You know, our veteran guys are really highly competitive guys. I mean, you put JJ in there. Tried to take a charge last night. I thought he got it, but the referees didn't, and they never listened to me. So, you know, but those guys will get on the floor. They will do all of those things. Our young guys are hard workers, and I think we'll get them there. They've got to get into the fray with all of that too. And I think we're making good progress in that regard. But we need it out of everybody. But certainly Steven and Bled have brought that to our team.
Hey, Stan, Scott Kushner with NOLA.com. JJ just used some colorful language to describe the way that he wants Lonzo to stay aggressive, be aggressive. Are you preaching that same message to Lonzo, to shoot when he's got any opening, and that he's kind of got to treat himself more as a shooter than maybe he even sees himself sometimes?
Yeah, it's interesting. While JJ was talking to you guys, I was talking to Lonzo, and, you know, getting his feedback on a lot of things, because I think he's a really, really smart guy. And I've got great respect for not only his ability, but for his mind. And so getting his feedback on what we've been doing and everything else. But then in me talking to him, yeah, I really pushed the need for him to take every open shot and to continue to work at being more aggressive, attacking the basket and making plays. I no question, we need him to do both of those things in addition to organizing our team and everything else.
Did you feel his performance last night was about what you want to see out of him? Was he in the realm of where you think he can be?
Well, I don't want to put a ceiling on him. I'll say that, Scott. I think he's outstanding. I really do. And so I don't want to say at 23 years old that he's anywhere near where he can be, because I think he'll continue to get better. But he's really good. I've been really happy with him since the first day off. So we came in and went, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever, those first 4 days. And he missed a couple of them. Then we had a day off. And since then, coming back, he's just been consistently good every single day. More solid, not taking chances. As I've told him, I think the difference between good players and great players in this league are 4 or 5 possessions a game. And the good players maybe get casual and give away a couple of possessions at both ends. You know, turn it over, risky pass, whatever. And the great players don't give away possessions. And I think he's gotten a lot better with that. I thought he gave one away last night. He didn't give any possessions away in the Miami game. And to be able to make plays like he does and to find open people and not give away possessions, and then to be able to be a reliable three-point shooter and a guy I'm still betting will shoot 80% from the free throw line on the season. This guy's really, really good. So I still don't even think he's anywhere near where he can get to, but he's really good.
Hey, Coach, this is Ollie with the Bird Rights. I know you've talked about wanting to see more improvement from the defense, communication, and other areas, but I'm curious to get your take on the team's rebounding. I mean, the disparity in second chance points, I know it's just 2 preseason games, but it was pretty remarkable. You feel like that the rebounding has to be kind of along what we've seen so far, and it has to be a hallmark, a strength of this team for it to be successful this year?
I think so. Look, I think so, Ollie, because, you know, as all of you have pointed out one way or another, what everybody's looking at offensively for us especially is how are you going to play with 2 big guys who are inside all the time, and you don't have the you know, modern NBA spacing that a lot of teams have. And so how do you play offensively? Well, you know, you're going to play small against us. You're going to have to figure out a way to contain us inside, and you're going to have to figure out a way to keep us off the glass. So we've got 2 elite offensive rebounders. And, you know, what you saw even early in the game last night is, you know, they put Brook Lopez on Zion. Well, fine. Then your other guy's got to try to keep Steven Adams off the offensive glass. So, you know, I mean, Steven had 7 offensive rebounds in half a game. I mean, you know, so yes, I think it's going to be a big part of what we do. You know, hopefully we don't need as many offensive rebounds every night because the ball's going in on the first shot. But yeah, it's going to be a big weapon for us, and certainly something that's going to be important for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Coach, one more. I think we remember the play where you, I think, were a little frustrated with Lonzo taking a risk on one of those deep throws. He has been able to connect with Zion on a lot of those in the past. How do you balance the risk taking with the success that he has had with some of those kind of moving forward?
No, it's funny. I was just talking to him about that. I mean, I think it's, you know, for me, on my part of it, it's, you know, to really keep encouraging him to be really, really solid, which he's been, without taking away that ability that he has to make those plays. And, you know, they're higher percentage plays for him than most people. And I want to make sure he has the freedom to make those plays. Basketball is a game of decisions, and he's got to make good ones. But I don't think even last night, the one I didn't like, I thought it was a bad decision, but he's not making those plays carelessly now. You know, he's taking a look and he's making the play. And I've seen him hold up on several of them where he looked and his instinct was to let it go. And he said, no, you know, and I think that's the balance. He's finding the balance, and I'm going to try to continue to coach him, but to not overreact, because I don't want to take away his aggressiveness to attack in that way.
What are your overall takeaways from how the preseason went? Just with everything going, being installed and going, things like that.
We got a chance to self-assess ourselves against 2 other teams in the league. Of course, some of their star players weren't playing, but we saw how practice carried over to games, and the things we can work on, the things we actually did well in the preseason games, and we can actually watch film and go into practice in the next few days before the games that count, and see what we can do better before we start.
Hey, Brandon, Rod Walker here with NOLA.com. What have you seen as the biggest differences in Zion from this time last year to where he is now? And the second part of that is just kind of going back to your rookie season to your second season. What was like the biggest improvements and strides you tried to make?
Well, I think the difference in Zion is maybe his body. I think he's always going to be the same player. He's always going to be dominant, a force around the basket, and always making really, really good plays on the offense and defensive end. I think on the defensive end, he's shown improvement where in practice he's really getting after it, trying to make a transition and playing really good in the pick and roll and being good in the low man spots and being just good defensively all around. I think from my rookie year to now, I've just grown confidence in every aspect of the basketball game on the offense and defensive end. I'm getting to learn different things that make my life easier on the basketball floor and when I come in every single day.
Hey, Brandon, Christian Clark here with NOLA.com. When you kind of just look back at some of those fouls last night, did it seem like some of them were preventable? What did you just kind of see there?
I actually didn't look at the film from last night. But I think with fouling like that, whenever I'm in foul trouble like that, I think it's all in my positioning. All in me just getting ready before the play, me being ready in all aspects of the game on the offense and defensive end, and not being so frustrated, not mentally taking myself out of the game. I think I'll save that film for another time, but I know exactly what I can do better in the next day.
Brendan, I guess kind of along the same lines of asking you about Zion. You've been close with Zoe for a while. He had one of it looked like his better overall games in terms of being aggressive, shooting. JJ mentioned that he likes to tell him to shoot the ball whenever he's open. Stan is talking to him about shooting the ball. What do you tell him? Or do you talk to him in the course of the game, or do you kind of save it for after of making him be aggressive throughout?
Well, I encourage him pretty much every single day. If we're going over 5-0, whatever we're doing, just whenever I'm passing the basketball, I actually tell him to shoot the basketball. So when he gets in the game, it just becomes second nature. He's not a normal catch and shoot basketball player, so it's kind of different. He's used to put the basketball on the floor. So he knows in the catch and shoot that it makes our team better, especially for spacing and especially for guys that get downhill, for myself, for Bled, Zion. So it's important for him to catch and shoot. I think last night was very encouraging for him, being aggressive and getting the shots that he wanted in our offense, and hopefully that can continue to flow.
What's up, y'all? This is Will from The Athletic. I know you always talk about wanting to improve on defense and how important that's going to be for the team. But just for you individually, what areas do you feel like you need to get better just from your first year with the Pels to this year, just to make a big impact on that end?
Just being everywhere that I need to be. I'd like to say positioning, being in the right spots at the right time, ready to defend with a stick hand. Moving my feet, being there for the guy on the low man, and having my teammates back. I think just being everywhere on the floor and just trying to affect the game.
Hey, this is Jim from Pelicans.com. Griff, in the brief offseason, talked about how one of the goals that he had for the team was to bring in more ferocious competitors, was the two-word term that he used. What did you think of what Adams and Bledsoe have brought? For example, last night they had a play where they both were on the floor at the same time, diving for a loose ball, and it just seems like they have brought a lot of intensity.
Well, they bring really, really good things to the floor. They're very professional in everything that they do. And Steve is a really, really big guy, which he has like an identity in this league, and when everyone faces against him, he knows the strongest guy in the league. We know exactly what we're going to get out of him every single night, and that's good to have. The same thing with Bledsoe. We know exactly we'll get out both of those guys every single night. And to have two professionals in the locker room that sacrifice their bodies, really be really, really good on the defensive end and do whatever it takes on the offensive end, it's really exciting for the team.
Hey, Brandon, this is Rod Walker again. I was actually going to ask you about Steven Adams. Jim asked that already, but what's he sort of been like just in the locker room, and what has he sort of brought to this team off the court, you feel like, so far? Just what's his personality been like?
He's been good. He's a really good guy. He's just been in the locker room just trying to advise all the big men on the things that he knows on the floor, just giving them little pointers. He's helped a lot of guys on the wings with positionings on screens and just different things. He's always a voice in our locker room, more and more voice on the basketball floor when we need something.
Any funny stories about him yet?
He's a funny guy, period. So everything that comes out of his mouth. Well, I think we know Stan has long practice. He's always messing with Stan. When Stan says we have just one more thing to do, and it's like 15 more things. So he's always messing with Stan.
Subscribe now and stay up to date for all things New Orleans Pelicans.